Police are currently investigating the death of a teenager found in Nokia as a murder case. According to information from Yle, the victim is a boy born in 2008. His body was discovered on the banks of the Nokianverta River, near the center of Nokia. Police reported receiving information around 7 a.m. on Friday about a body found in Koskenmäki, Nokia. Senior investigator Jari Kinnunen told Yle that the case is being investigated as a murder based on police findings. The police noticed irregularities, suggesting that someone else, apart from the victim, was present at the scene. The police have not disclosed further details about the findings at the scene. The Nokianverta riverbank is an old industrial area. According to Kinnunen, teenagers often gather there during the summer. The place itself is not dangerous, something might have happened there. Kinnunen said that during the initial phase of the investigation, they will work around the clock to clarify what happened. The category of the investigation may change as it progresses. Police will immediately inform the public if the finding is not a criminal case. According to Yle, in the morning, 2 ambulances and police were seen in the Koskenmäki area. The city will lower the flags at half-mast at Nokia's secondary schools on Saturday, June 1st. Due to the incident, crisis support is widely available in Nokia and the welfare area. Pirkanmaa Social and Crisis Services provide conversation support for those shocked by the incident. This service can be contacted 24/7 at phone number 0500 625 990. Nokia's youth services will operate with increased presence over the weekend and next week, as the incident has significantly impacted the Nokia community, especially the youth. Conversation support will be provided at the Noksu Youth Center on Friday and Saturday from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m., and on Tuesday from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. On Monday, support will be provided at the Harjuniati Youth Center from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. Initially, there was information that the body was found near a school, but the Nokianverta riverbank is not close to any schools. Principal Terhi Minima of Koskenmäki Tervasuo School told Yle in the afternoon that the school had very little information about the incident. The school provided crisis support on Friday. The principal and counselors will work until mid-June. Koskenmäki Tervasuo School is an elementary school for students from grades 1 to 6. The school has 2 campuses a few kilometers apart. The body was not found near the schools, but the situation is shocking for the students and residents of the area. A wave of price declines has attracted retail investors in Finland. They bought shares of the fuel company Neste at prices reduced by up to 70% from their peak. The sellers were large investors from abroad. At the same time, the plummeting share price of the company has cost Finland billions in national assets. The largest shareholder of the company is the Finnish state, meaning every Finnish citizen. Insurance companies also own a significant portion of Neste's shares. Preliminary estimates suggest long-term shareholders have lost 20 billion euros since the 2021 peak. Calculation of the reduced national asset value at its peak, Neste's market value was 47 billion euros. Currently, May 22, 2024, the market value is 15 billion euros. The difference is 32 billion euros. The portion of the domestic shareholders' value reduction is approximately 20 billion euros from the 32 billion euros difference. One of the retail investors who bought Neste shares during the price drop was Maria Nuraminen. She purchased shares of the company for the last time at the end of 2023. The main reason behind the value collapse is political factors. According to transportation professor Hekla Matainen from Tampere University, political risk occurred when politicians changed their decisions. Initially, they created demand for renewable biofuels by stipulating that they must be blended into car fuels, helping reduce CO2 emissions. However, in the company's key markets in Sweden and Finland, regulations have changed. Requirements for biofuels have been relaxed, reducing demand. Esa Sipilä, an expert from the consulting firm AFRI, analyzed that government changes have significantly reduced distribution requirements, causing demand for high-quality renewable products to decrease since the beginning of the year. Neste's stock value continued to decline on May 14 when the company announced that their biofuel sales prices were no longer as high as before, reducing profits. High fuel prices have caused dissatisfaction, especially in early 2022 when Russia's attack on Ukraine raised fuel prices to over €2 per liter. This forced some low-income drivers to calculate cost-effectiveness when commuting. Politicians responded by cutting the biofuel blending rate to reduce fuel prices. Although the price reduction was not significant, it became a symbol of oppression against drivers. Another reason for the decrease in Neste's stock value is increased competition. Initially, Neste was one of the first companies to produce biofuels, especially from non-food sources. However, many new competitors have entered the market, reducing biofuel prices. From 2035, the EU will only allow the sale of electric or hydrogen and fuel cell vehicles. Trucks using gasoline or diesel will cease to be sold by the 2040s. Biofuels will continue to be used in aviation, starting next year with the EU's requirements for blending renewable fuels into aircraft fuels. The decline in Neste's value is due to various factors, including political changes and increased competition. However, with global decisions on reducing CO2 emissions and the demand for renewable fuels in aviation, there is still hope for the company in this industry. According to a thesis study, both male and female students have a more negative attitude towards learning Swedish when they enter secondary school. As a result, the speaking skills in Swedish among many students, especially in the 9th grade, are very poor or virtually non-existent. This was elucidated from a recent thesis study at the University of Oulu. Philosophy master Eero Talonen investigated in his thesis how the Swedish language skills of secondary school students develop, as well as changes in their attitudes and motivation towards learning Swedish throughout their basic education. The study shows that students' attitudes towards learning Swedish remain positive in the 7th grade but become increasingly negative towards the end of secondary school. However, there is a significant difference in attitudes and language skills between male and female students. For example, the attitude of female students towards learning Swedish is more positive, resulting in better scores in written tests compared to male students. However, the listening and speaking skills of male students develop better throughout secondary school. Differences between males and females: male students, more confident in using Swedish and willing to experiment with the language, although they make more mistakes, which does not affect their communicative ability. Female students achieve better results in written tests, but their speaking and listening skills do not develop as well as those of male students. Talonen suggests that the reason may be cultural and societal. Perhaps male students are allowed to make more mistakes, which is reflected in their confidence in language usage. Differences between schools: the study also indicates that there is not a significant difference in attitudes between schools, but there is a significant difference in language skills. Worrisome results: the students in the study have been learning Swedish since the 6th grade as a B1 language. The research data was collected at 3 different stages from 3 Finnish-speaking schools from the 7th to the 9th grades, including a bilingual city, a large city, and a small town. According to Talonen, in Finnish-speaking areas, students seem to feel less need to learn Swedish because the language is less prevalent in the surrounding environment. Teachers also believe that their students have poorer language skills compared to other schools. Challenges and solutions: Talonen emphasizes that the study results are very worrying and in line with predictions. The biggest challenge is ensuring the constitutional rights of Swedish speakers to receive services in their language on par with Finnish speakers. Additionally, Talonen poses the question of how to improve the effectiveness of teaching Swedish in basic education. Currently, the number of teaching hours may only be 1 lesson per week for some years. The question arises, when Swedish is rarely heard outside of school hours, how can students absorb and develop the language when teaching hours are too few? This study raises important issues about the quality of language education and calls for improvement measures to ensure that students can develop the necessary language skills in the current educational context. This weekend marks a turning point in the lives of over 100,000 young people. This weekend will be one of the most memorable moments in the lives of many people. According to estimates from the National Board of Education, around 63,000 9th grade students will complete basic education, and nearly 25,000 students will graduate from high school this spring. The exact figures from vocational schools will be announced later, but last year saw approximately 44,700 graduates in the spring semester, and this year's figure is expected to be higher. Completing studies is an emotional time, especially for 18-year-old Sovieta Sakinen in Oulu, as she prepares to don her graduation cap this Saturday. The emotions are truly mixed. Very excited to graduate, but also it's a new phase in life, Sakinen shared. Tia Lane, a youth work coordinator in Satakunta, observes that this transitional period brings strong, sometimes conflicting emotions, similar to Sakinen's case. Many youths feel anxious about changing friendships when parting ways with longtime close friends. A lot of students have been together since lower grades. It's a big deal and shouldn't be taken lightly, Lane said. However, Tiina Tuominen, a psychologist at the University of Turku, encourages students to look forward and embrace new friendships. Tuominen emphasizes that a sense of belonging to a community is crucial and advises schools to focus on creating connections among students. Sakinen plans to take a year off to work and focus on other activities, but she is excited about meeting new friends in the future. The end of the academic period brings many changes such as stress about choosing schools, moving to new places, and saying goodbye to old friends. Everything will be fine for sure, Lane reassures. Tuominen agrees, reminding that decisions are not final and there's always an opportunity to change direction if needed. Sakinen decides to take a year off because she has various interests and wants to spend time exploring them. I feel relieved because now I can focus on work and dedicate time to other things, as well as learn to live independently, she shared. A female director of a small real estate brokerage company in Kuopio has been compelled to compensate over €200,000 due to involvement in a series of economic crimes. She had previously been convicted for similar offenses. The Northern Savo District Court has convicted this female defendant of fraud, aggravated fraud, serious breach of trust, and 3 counts of serious embezzlement, with a sentence of 6 months imprisonment. Additionally, she is required to provide significant compensation to the state, victims, and creditors. Previously, she had been sentenced to 11 months in prison for other economic crimes. The female defendant is the managing director and sole member of the board of directors of a small real estate brokerage company. According to the prosecutor, she violated company law by unlawfully gifting or transferring the company's assets. She also used the company's accounts as personal assets, resulting in an inability to pay for the company. She illegally withdrew nearly €190,000 from the company. The female defendant received deposits and property values from brokerage contracts but did not pass on these amounts. Instead, she used this money for personal needs such as shopping and travel. In this complex case, others were also convicted of economic crimes, including receiving transfers from the female defendant. In addition to imprisonment, the female defendant's profits of approximately €150,000 from illegal activities were seized. She is also required to pay outstanding debts to the company's creditors, including the tax office, insurance companies, and employment fund. 2 men involved in this case were also compensated, with amounts of €19,600 and €10,000, respectively. Another family was also compensated €28,000. Legal litigation costs that the female defendant must pay amount to thousands of euros. This verdict is currently not legally binding. A police officer from the Pohjanmaa Police Department has been handed a suspended sentence for violating official duty and data security crimes by illegally accessing data from the police system related to their relatives. According to the ruling of the trial court, this police officer unlawfully accessed data from the police system between 2019 and 2022 to obtain information about their relatives. This behavior occurred multiple times and involved several individuals, which the court deemed more serious than ordinary official duty violations. The police officer working in Kokkola was sentenced to 40 days of suspended imprisonment. Additionally, he must pay over €10,000 in compensation and legal costs. In addition to the above accusations, there were 6 other allegations related to data security crimes. However, these accusations have expired and were not considered in the trial. This verdict is not immediately legally effective. The defendant or the dissatisfied party with the verdict may appeal to the Vasa Court of Appeal within 30 days from the date of sentencing.